Thank you for this day, oh, thank you for this day. Thank you for this day, oh, thank you for this healing, this healing, this healing, this healing day, this healing, this healing, this healing day. Here we go again. Thank you for this day, oh, thank you for this day. Thank you for this day, oh, thank you for this day. This healing, this healing, this healing day. This healing, this healing, this healing day. This room, thank you for this room, oh, thank you for this room. Thank you for this room, oh, thank you for this room. This healing, this healing, this healing room. This healing, this healing, this healing. This sun, thank you for this sun, oh, thank you for this sun. Thank you for the sun, oh, thank you for the sun. The healing, this healing, this healing sun. This healing, this healing, this healing sun. What else are you thankful for?
My granddaughter was born yesterday.
Thank you for this birth. Ready? And thank you for this birth. Oh, thank you for this birth. Thank you for this birth, oh, thank you for this birth. This healing, this healing, this healing birth. This healing, this healing, this healing birth. If you didn't hear that, that was a new granddaughter. What else are you thank? Family. One. And thank you for this family. 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 This healing, this healing, this healing family. This healing, this healing, this healing family. What else? Community. Ready? And thank you for this community. 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 This healing, this healing, this healing community. This healing, this healing, this healing community. Child. Thank you for this child, oh, thank you for this child. Thank you for this child, oh, thank you for this child. This healing, this healing, this healing child. This healing, this healing, this healing. This table. Thank you for 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 this table. This healing, this healing, this healing table. This healing, this healing, this healing table. Do 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 la 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 la. Do 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 La 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 la. La 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 la. La 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 la. La 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 la. This day, thank you for this day. Oh, thank you for this day. Thank you for this day, oh, thank you for this day, this healing, this healing, this healing day, this healing, this healing, this healing. These friends, thank you for these friends, oh, thank you for these friends. Thank you for these friends, oh, thank you for these friends, these healing, these healing, these healing friends, these healing, these healing, these healing friends. Last time this day, thank you for this day, oh, thank you for this day. Thank you for this day, oh, thank you for this day, this healing, this healing, this healing day, this healing, this healing, this healing day. I invite us to help be hospitable to each other. There are empty seats in front. If those who are old hands here and familiar with this place are willing to move this to this side of the room a little bit, that opens up space for our guests who come a little bit later. There's room over here. Yeah. And so we have a table. Thanks to a group of people. I'll thank them later, but we go from emptiness to fullness in short order with the whole variety of pieces. I invite us to get ready for this meal by silencing our cell phones if we haven't already, so that we can be fully present. Welcome, welcome. And to facilitate a little of that movement, perhaps, I invite us to rise in body or in spirit, and online you can do this in the chat. I invite you to say hello to the people around you, especially the folks you don't know yet. Folks you don't recognize, I invite you to greet each other and welcome each other into the morning. Thank you. Thank you, and happy Thanksgiving weekend. For those who don't know, I'm the Reverend Kevin Tarsa. I am privileged to serve this congregation, and it is Jean Gilligan who offers our land acknowledgement this morning.
Good morning. With this basket of black oak acorns, we express our heartfelt desire that the Nissan people may recover more and more of their rich cultural heritage. We commit to support them in these and other efforts in whatever ways we can under their guidance and at their request.
With the lighting of this chalice, we take up the work and the joy, of holding one another in community of love. The work and the joy of trusting that we are on the right path. The work and joy of believing that what connects us is stronger than what separates us. The work and joy of engaging in that which makes us whole. The work and joy of deeper understanding and commitment. The work and joy of letting go of that which does not serve us. The work and joy of radical inclusion. The work and joy of collective liberation. The work and joy of this beloved community. A beloved community of which we are all part. A place where we are welcomed, respected, valued, cherished. A place where we belong.
Time to dance, right? Time to dance, hard to hold still. But it actually is our time to sing our youngest people on their way to Kids Connection. And here is Cheryl to come get the light and lead them on their way. And we will sing This Little Light of Mine to send them on their way. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. Let it shine, let it shine, let it shine. There's still some seats. There's a seat here, there's a seat there, a couple seats right here in the front row for someone who's looking for space, and lots of space back here, lots of space back here. Yeah, come make yourself comfortable around this particular table.
Room at the table and room at UUCM as well, and when we cozy up together. I'm Gail Johnson-Vaughn. I'm so happy to be the one that welcomes you this morning to this table of abundance of love and joy that we share together. Just like in Carrie Newcomer's video, there is a dance at UUCM that we can all join together. Whether you can get up on your toes, or wiggle your hips, or dance with our hands or our heart, whether your sense of rhythm comes from your ancestors in Africa, or Asia, or north of us, or south of us, or perhaps ancestors who were here long before people came from other continents. You are welcome here. Whether we dance alone or with a partner, and no matter the gender of our partner, you are all welcome here. We are all welcome here. And whether we've been dancing together for decades, or we are new to the dance together, whether you dance on two legs, or in a chair with wheels, or anywhere in between, or if dancing is just not your thing, we are all welcome here. And no matter how we experience the mysteries that are beyond human ability to comprehend, we are all welcome here. Welcome to the Unitarian Universalist Community of the Mountains in Grass Valley, California. It's so good to be together.
My father, annual, a little bit closer. My father, annual carver of the Thanksgiving turkey, he loved Norman Rockwell's painting of a Thanksgiving dinner, that very famous painting. A painting staged in a new place for a new day by UUCM members and friends. Thanks to Gail's organization and Corey Silva's table setting, Bob Brandstrom's photographing, Robin Hart's computer artistry, and numerous members and friends willing to take part, to be part of that adventure. In spirit, that scene in Rockwell's original, it actually matches pretty much the experience I had of white Midwestern world and my European farm family's values. The table in the original is graced with a festive enough feast, but it's not actually very full, really. It's not lavishly filled. Looking closely, the meal there appears more spare than one might expect for a Thanksgiving feast picture. Although Rockwell sometimes called his painting the turkey from Thanksgiving, for our UUCM edition, Gail made and then shared a beautiful vegan stuffed squash. I was surprised when I visited the Norman Rockwell Museum in Stockbridge, Massachusetts a number of years ago to discover that the painting's original title was Freedom from Want, and that it is just one of Rockwell's 4 freedoms paintings. He'd been inspired by President Roosevelt's 1941 address to Congress, in which Roosevelt listed 4 basic and universal human rights: freedom of speech, freedom of worship, freedom from fear, and freedom from want. Learning this and then seeing each of those original paintings, which are actually quite large, was very moving to me. They were not only physically larger than I expected, the message behind them was also deeper than I expected. The table of people in our UUCM photograph better captures some of the aspirational spirit of our day and age, in particular, our aspiration for who's at the table. And people think of Rockwell and his illustrations as conservative, and his painting now seems like a quietly painful portrayal of whiteness devaluing black and brown-skinned persons. But his more liberal personal views were constrained. At the time he painted Freedom from Want, for example, the editors of the Saturday Evening Post, for whom Rockwell illustrated many covers, they mandated that Black people in their publication could only be portrayed as lower working class, lest we think there has ever been a level playing field. In 1963, the year I was born, Rockwell moved to Look magazine, and there he could illustrate civil rights scenes and civil unrest. Today, on this Thanksgiving weekend, around this beautiful table, we'll look both inward and outward. Inward at our wants and our gratitudes, and outward at the world we dream of, at least in spirit. So, let's begin with the meditation. We'll begin with gratitude. So I invite you to settle in, to let your body settle in. So to do whatever is going to be helpful for you to feel comfortable for a moment. And to start by just noticing where you are, noticing who's around you, temperature in the room, what you see, whether your eyes are open or closed, what you hear right now, what you smell, what you taste right now. I invite you to notice your feet on the floor. Maybe even dance those feet, slide them, swirl them around for a moment. Get them anchored, centered, if you can feel and move your feet. Notice what they feel like. Notice the chair, the feeling of the chair you're in if you're seated. Notice exactly the way it's supporting your body. That chair supported by the floor. That floor supported by the joists and the foundation. That foundation supported by the earth. Back to your feet and what you sense there, if anything. I invite you to move your attention upward from your feet to your ankles, to your lower legs, to your knees, your thighs, your hips. With that low belly we were referring to last week, below the navel there, that gut center. Up through your abdomen into the area of your lungs, breathing in and out. Up to the area of your heart and what you notice there. Up to your neck and throat, your chin, your mouth, cheeks, your nose, your eyes. Oh, it helps to relax around the eyes. Your temples and forehead, all the way up to the very top of your head. If you take into account your entire body, what do you feel right now? What stands out, if anything? And if you're a person who doesn't feel anything, what does it feel like not to feel anything? What does it feel like to be asked to notice what you're feeling when you don't feel anything? And then just breathe. Just breathe. Let your lungs unify your body, your mind, your heart. And from that place, what gratitude arises? What has supported you? Who has supported you in your life? What has allowed you to be who you are, where you are, alive, with as much as you have? For what do you have reason to be grateful? And hanging on to all of that, what else is in there today? Who else, what else is in your heart in particular today? What worry, what concern, what suffering, what pain, what sorrow? It's all in there together. What, who is especially present for you? If you're in the room here on Church Street, I invite you to take that little card, the little table tent. Think of it as a place marker for a dinner table. I invite you to write or draw or make a mark on that card for something of what you feel gratitude for, something for which you're grateful, and a piece of the joys and the sorrows that you hold too. I invite you to make a mark, to write a word, to draw a symbol. What we'll do today, instead of the stones for joys and sorrows, is we'll be placing those somewhere on the table. Your joys, your sorrows, your gratitudes. If you need a piece of paper, let's help each other find one. Thank you for your willingness. The fullness is a part of the message, isn't it? That's a full table. Reminds me of feasts growing up, right? There's a lot to squeeze in, a lot of people to squeeze in, a lot of maneuvering to figure out who's going to be where and how to get to what you needed. I invite you to take in for a moment the fullness of the table. If you brought a card, your card's on there, but there are a whole lot of other cards there. Of gratitudes, of worries, of joys, of sorrows. And I invite you to center yourself for a moment in your heart. If praying is your custom, I invite you to surface your prayer, whether that is to a God of absolute love for you, or an unnamed power beyond us, or more centered for some people, a message to your own heart to take note, to take stock. May our prayers be heard, not least of all, perhaps, in the stillness of our own heart, when the answer comes quietly, threading back to us. So may it be. Have you ever felt not welcome? Any chance? Anybody who's not felt not welcome? Just to double the negatives there. So you know, the welcome table is one of the most commonly sung hymns in Black churches all over the United States. It's an African-American folk song and gospel song, first published in print in 1874 during Reconstruction, the turbulent time following the Civil War. I'm going to sit at the welcome table. I'm going to sit at the welcome table one of these days. You can hear it, right? It's the song of people who were not welcome at the table. It's the song of people who had been enslaved. Some of the earliest verses were, I'm going to set the world on fire, a song of resistance. I'm going to tell God how you treat me. I'm going to cross the river Jordan. I'm going to drink of the healing waters. I'm going to drink and never get thirsty. God's going to bring this world to judgment. I'm going to eat off the welcome table. The song was frequently adapted during the civil rights movement to include lyrics like, I'm going to be a registered voter, and I'm going to sit at the Woolworth counter. You'll notice if you look in our UU hymn books that the words there are, we're going to sit at the welcome table. And it includes rather happy verses, as if sung from a privileged place of having plenty. That language shift from I to we, it's a change made in a number of songs in our hymn books. It was an attempt, I expect, to promote unity, to say, we're all in this together. We're all the same, we have shared experience. But the unintended, or at least unconscious consequence, is that shifting from I to we also shifts responsibility and accountability. Somehow the generic we are going to accomplish this, meaning that I don't necessarily have to do anything about it. Somebody among us is going to do it. We're going to do it. I'm going to sit at the welcome table is a more personal and a more demanding claim for one's own well-being and integrity, and also for the well-being and integrity of others. At first glance, I'm going to sit at the welcome table might seem kind of self-focused, but we can understand it as an invitation to look close at what we personally need, and also what other people might need to feel welcome at the table. It can be a claim that I'm going to sit at the welcome table, meaning I'm going to sit at the table where everyone's welcome, which means I'm going to have to help it be so. Not just that I'm welcome, but if I'm going to sit at the welcome table, it means I'm going to help it be a welcome table. So let's see how that feels in our bodies and our voices with all our different perspectives. I invite us to rise in body or in spirit and to sing, whether here or at home, to sing together. It's number 407 in the hymn books if you're a person who likes to see music, although in there you're going to see we, and on the slides I put I'm. I'm gonna sit at the welcome table. I'm gonna sit at the welcome table one of these days, hallelujah. I'm gonna sit at the welcome table. Gonna sit at the welcome table one of these days. All kinds of people around that table. All kinds of people around that table one of these days, hallelujah. All kinds of people around that table. Gonna sit at the welcome table one of these days. No fancy style at the welcome table. No fancy style at the welcome table one of these days, hallelujah. No fancy style at the welcome table. Gonna sit at the welcome table one of these days. I'm gonna sit at the welcome table. I'm gonna sit at the welcome table one of these days, hallelujah. I'm gonna sit at the welcome table. Gonna sit at the welcome table one of these days. Thank you.
I'm really pleased and privileged to read the words of Erica Hewitt in this wonderful tale that she tells, Making Room at the Table. She says, I spend a lot of Saturday evenings feeling awkward at wedding receptions because most guests don't want to talk to the minister. Are they worried that I'm boring or that I'm going to look deeply in their eyes and ask them about their relationship with God. Either way, being alone with a plate of hors d'oeuvres is preferable to me than going home to finish my sermon. A few weeks ago, though, I was delighted when a table of wedding guests, obviously friends who'd come from a couple of states away, waved me over. "We're therapists," they said. "No one wants to sit with us either." Upon learning that I'm a Unitarian Universalist, the entire group, not all of them white, not all of them straight, not all of them gender conforming, exchanged knowing looks. "What?" I probed. "It means you're safe," one of them announced, and the others nodded. "They're not religious," they elaborated, "but they trust UU communities to accept them without judgment." It makes you want to cheer, doesn't it? When outsiders praise the people you call home. So I wanted to gather up all their affirmations and dole them back out at the UU ranch, but I couldn't. As I smiled politely, I called to mind the UUs in my life who are queer, who live with a disability, who are people of color, and thought about our countless stories of their lives, experience painted over with a brush of privilege. I remembered my colleague Sean Parker Dennison's reminder that there are many people in the world who never feel completely safe. They don't expect to either. Those of us inside the Unitarian Universalist fold know that when it comes to living our experience, inclusive, anti-oppressive faith, we fall short, sometimes 3D technicolor ways. I do. Every time my privilege and I cause harm, I get to decide whether my arrogant decision that I'm enlightened or woke outweighs evidence to the contrary. That it was a gift on that early summer evening to be received by a group of strangers as if I belonged, and to hear them call out my UU kindred a haven. While I know there's a gap between who they say they are, I know there's a gap between who we say we are and who we are in practice. Those 7 therapists gave me a gift, a second gift. They fortified my commitment to keep closing the gap and transform our UU communities into havens, a home for all who need us. She ends with a prayer. God, who takes the form of people seeking connection, thank you for letting us off the hook when it comes to being perfect. Thank you also for not letting us off the hook, for calling us to rise to the promise of who we might be.
I feel like I should start this way. Yeah. So Thanksgiving is a multi-layered experience for most of us. So I'm curious, how was your Thanksgiving weekend here? On a scale of thumbs down to thumbs up, how was your Thanksgiving experience? Okay, some thumbs up, some sideways. I noticed this year in particular, the change from the last couple of years during the pandemic when so much of us couldn't do that. There's an extra joy I see in your eyes as you're doing your thumbs up for what Thanksgiving was for you who had the thumbs up. In the process of learning to make room at the table for the next outer ring of others, that next ring out, whoever those folks are, it's tempting for those of us who are already comfortably at the table to say something along the lines of, some of my best friends are, fill in the blank. Some of my best friends are Black. Some of my best friends are queer or trans or Muslim. I heard these kinds of statements a lot in the late 80s and early 90s and in the rural Midwest as I was leading workshops meant to help people make room for gay and lesbian people in their hearts, in their families, in their workplaces, in their communities. And I've certainly said or implied such things myself, in spirit, if not in those exact words, especially around race. I've tended to take a more subtle route, though, gently name dropping, or very casually mentioning a person's race, implying familiarity and connection and deep friendship. It's a way of communicating, I get it, I'm cool, I'm comfortable. I'm not racist, I'm not homophobic, I'm not transphobic, I'm not anti-Muslim, I'm not fill in your blank. Maybe you've said or implied such things yourself at some point. Now, these may in fact be true statements, of course. Maybe our very dearest friend is indeed that. But when the category we're naming is at the growing edge of our own comfort, that's more likely a self-protective kind of statement, right? Protecting in part our own image of who we are, but also our image of how others see us. Ideally, it's also an aspirational step on the journey toward genuine inclusion in our lives. We want it to be true for us. When I was a young adult 30 or 40 years ago, and I am sure long before my time, one of the ways that this kind of expression would be challenged, in particular around race, and often in workshops or trainings, would be for someone to ask, oh, you have a Black friend, usually meaning a coworker, acquaintance. Have you ever been to their house for dinner? Have they ever been to your house for dinner? At which point there was often at that time a very blank silence. That question, or that kind of question, became a measuring stick for me. Which is not to say I have lived it well, but dinner or no, how deeply into my life am I willing to welcome another, especially someone who's not like me, who I don't understand, who's at the outer edge of my comfort zone. And please know that I'm not offering myself as an exemplar in this. This is as much a sermon to self as anything. There's something about that dinner table image that gets to the heart of this for me. People at home, at the table where real life is lived, where our real lives are seen. And this was one of the gifts of the pandemic and so much Zooming, right? We got to see each other and various famous people at home in their often very cluttered settings, right? People we usually see behind a news desk, for example, and see their piles of books and papers. But to get back to the dinner table, the table where sustenance and conversation are passed and shared, this metaphor, right, this image, this place where everyone's fed. A metaphor and a measuring stick in this vein has that feeling tone of Rockwell's original painting for me, Freedom from Want, just updated with a wider range of who's genuinely welcome at our table, at my table. A few months ago, Lindsay Dunkel spoke here of being radically welcoming. Actually, what Lindsay did is offer an invitation for us to become radically welcoming, which is to say, to go beyond allowing others to join us at our table and to be willing to let others and the needs of others change our dinner table plans in our experience. To be willing to change how the table is set, for example, no matter how important our ancestors' antique dishes are to us. To be willing to change what conversation looks like and feels like around the table, no matter what unspoken rules we've been living by for generations. To be willing to change what music is playing in the background, though we love the tunes we've listened to since childhood. To be willing to change what's being served and how, though we love the foods we already know. To be willing to change what time the meal starts and how long it lasts. To be willing to change where the meal is held and for how many. To be willing to change whether there's a table at all, allowing the gathering to take an entirely different shape if need be. To be willing to change the way things are done around here. That would be a truly radical welcome. As I'll say in next week's service, which welcomes UUCM's newest members, joining this community is not about being merely welcomed into the community as it is. Joining is about the presence of each other, of each new member, influencing who the community is and who the community is becoming. And that is if the people already at the table will make room for them and their ideas and their needs. If the people already at the table will make room for new and different ways while staying at the table. That's the key, staying at the table and making room for something different. We like to say in a variety of ways that our doors are open, but it has to be more than our doors. It has to be our hearts and our behaviors, our ways of being that are open too. You may have seen the quote in the pre-service slides. It's Werner Meyer saying, diversity is what we Unitarian Universalists often seek. Diversity, Werner writes, is being invited to the party. Inclusion is being asked to dance. Diversity is being invited to the party. Inclusion is being asked to dance. And radical welcome goes even further than that, to say that deep welcome is about being willing to learn a new dance from the people who just arrived, who find a home here in our deepest shared values, people who in any number of ways might be quite different from us. UU minister Lisa Presley wrote that it's saying and believing, you are welcome not just to be like us, but to help us change to be more open and to be more like you, whoever you are. Not for you to be more like us, for us to be more like you new person who's just arrived, who doesn't know the history or the rules or anybody in the room. And so finally, we arrive at generosity, the theme of this month. Creating together a truly welcoming table, whether it's into our personal lives or here together, takes our willingness to let go of having our way, asks of us a willingness to be changed, which is to say, a willingness to give more than is strictly necessary or expected, which is the definition of generosity. To give more than is strictly necessary or expected. As the description for this service noted, it's about asking who's not at the table, asking whom are we leaving out, asking ourselves whether we keep our generosity within the bounds of our comfort zones, and whether we are courageous and committed enough to expand beyond the familiar and the much loved into the realms of discomfort, where true generosity lives. Discomfort not for the sake of discomfort, but for the sake of a world where each person is valued, including the real us. Generous discomfort for the sake of learning to be together in ways that are sustaining and life-giving. Generous discomfort for the sake of communities where differences are lived and life-changing rather than derided. generous discomfort for the sake of the world where fear-driven violence is less likely. Generous discomfort for the sake of a community in which the best in each person is inspired, cultivated, nurtured, supported. Generous welcome, generous discomfort for the sake of our own well-being, our own transformation. A true welcome table. May our table, may this table, may we, may I be so.
This morning, we set an allegorical table to represent the opportunity to share generously. Our offering is another opportunity. Your gifts fuel not just our Sunday services and not just the building within which we sit and not just our beloved minister and staff. It funds the work we do in justice in its many, many forms. It funds works to inspire our personal and spiritual growth. It funds our connections to each other that form this life-sustaining community. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. And as most of you know, each week we give 25% of our offering, or more if you wish, to a community nonprofit that shares our values. Our partner this month is Bright Futures for Youth, whose mission is to ignite the potential of youth today for a vibrant tomorrow. Some of you may want to give 100% of your gift to Bright Futures. If so, place it in the white envelope that will be in the basket as it passes to you. Your giving is vital to our ability to sustain the work of this community. Thank you for your generosity. And you'll see a slide coming up if you want to give in another way. There are many choices. And will our greeters please come forward? Now you can give them back to me. Thank you. Thank you for your generosity. It touches me, not just because it's these greenbacks and stuff, but just the giving, the deep generosity that happens. We dedicate these gifts today to the bright futures, deep and meaningful futures for you and 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 all of you in Zoom world, wherever you're coming from, and all who are touched directly or indirectly by you. Thank you.
Some people really love sitting in a circle like this, especially if you're not too introverted. And it makes for extra figuring out, right? For our greeters, for our AV folks. So thanks to everyone who was part of today's service. Toby, far in the corner, people with the back here. Thanks for accommodating. Thanks for the generosity of helping it happen. I want to thank in particular way today Gail Johnson-Vaughn, who's completing today an entire month worth of worship associating for services on generosity. When we put our heads and hearts together, we tend to come up with lots of detail-y things, things that require extras, so thank you. And I want to thank our table setters. I'm going to look at my list so I don't leave anybody out. So people who were willing to bring and set the table today: Corey Silva, Bob Foster, Cynthia Burton, Jim Perkins, Kathy McLeod, Martha Turner, Kern Hildebrand, Pete for reading, Jean for offering our land acknowledgement. The people who are upstairs, Shannon Dooley Miller and Cheryl with our youngest ones, and everyone who's both helped make the service happen, but also you who crossed the threshold, especially if you came into new territory for the first time. That is no easy thing. So thanks for the generosity in that. A couple announcements for today. We're going to do a little bite-sized piece of worship planning after the service. We're going to brainstorm. This is no strings attached, and it's really free-forming. We're going to brainstorm the theme of transformation. Stick around to join us. It's fun. Next Sunday, we'll have UU 101, which is for folks who are like, what the heck is this all about, and want to know just a little bit more about this community or this tradition. We'll gather after the service, so please consider that. And just another reminder, if you go to the website and you look down at the bottom of that home page, you'll see the next 9 events, but there's also a button that says, see the view of the calendar of events. And if you click that, you'll get to whole calendar. And if you hover over any of those items with your cursor, it'll give you some more information. If you're an information person who's looking for info, just know that that's one of the ways, right on the home page of the website. I invite us to take a breath. It's been a weekend, right? It's been a weekend. We're about to head into December. Can you believe it? Take a breath and let's sing this closing song, which is about gratitude. Right? It names the beauty of the earth. I invite you to put into it all of your gratitudes for the people and the goodness in your life, to rise in body or in spirit, and to sing. It's number 21 in the hymn books if you're a person who likes to see the music. For the beauty of the earth, for the splendor of the skies, for the love which from our birth over and around us lies, source of all to the universe, we start in of grateful praise. For the joy A group of people here at UUCM is reading and talking deeply about a book titled Mistakes and Miracles. Congregations on the road to multiculturalism. I would say any kind of differentness. They are very much exploring and imagining what is required of a community like this one to live into its deep values. The book opens with a prayer titled Living in Tension by the Reverend Joseph Cherry. If we have any hope of transforming the world and changing ourselves, we must be bold enough to step into our discomfort, brave enough to be clumsy there, loving enough to forgive ourselves and others. May we as a people of faith be granted the strength to be so bold, so brave, and so loving. And I would add, so generous. Amen. Blessed be. Ashe. May we be so. And to remind ourselves of this community and what its possibilities are, I invite us to offer these weekly good words to each other, this benediction. Let us together carry the flame of peace and love until we meet again. If you're here in the building, please join us for refreshments. We'll see everyone next Sunday, a new month and a new theme of mystery.